My name is Tokunbo Wahab. I'm the Honourable Commissioner for the Environment and Water Resources, Lagos State. I'm from Ketu in Lagos State. And, I'm the second of a family of 6. I'm the second boy. Lost my parents in my 20s. My mom was on June 12th, election day, and my dad was 5 years down the road. But from the beginning of my life, they've always said to me, lean on God and respect people. So that shaped the fulcrum of what I am today and what I'm doing as a public servant. For me, I am an advocate of no matter your success in the private sector, you must get to a point where you know you have to leave your comfort zone and offer yourself for service for public good. It was not such a tough decision to make. We can't keep complaining every day that things are not as they should be, and then they now offer you a platform to make a difference, and you now shy away from it. If you do that, you've lost the moral pedestal to now question anybody in public service. So collectively, we must put our best legs forward to achieve the best for our society. That is what had led me to leave my private practice as an attorney to come into public service, to serve Lagosians. The ministry is such a broad ministry. You have agencies like LASA, that's the Advertising Regulatory Agency in Lagos State. You have LASPAC, that's Parks and Gardens, taking care of green areas. You have LASEPA, that's Environmental Protection Agency. You have LOMA, that is big elephant in the room, that's waste management, solid waste management. You have LASWAMO, that's liquid waste management. You have Water Corporation, and then you have the regulator, LASWACO, that is another agency under it. And then under the ministry itself, you now have directorates like climate change, you have drainage service, you have environmental services, and others. So it's such a wide public-facing ministry, which invariably means we have to be on top of our game. We have to be on our feet 24/7, because if you leave your home, the first thing you interact with is the environment. Oh, have they picked the waste here or not? How is the garden? How is the green area? How are the advert structures managed, the spaces, and things like that. So it's such a wide gamut and very broad and tasking ministry. But we thank God for what He's been able to grant us the grace to do so far. Now, if I tell you there are areas that don't have offensive odors in Lagos, I'll be lying. And I'll be the first that will admit to you. Some areas have this smell like they do have in other climes, in Joburg, in New York, in London. So some areas in Lagos do have the same challenge. At times or certain times in the year, in times past, if you're driving by Olushosun, which we are going to decommission in the next few months, you get this offensive smell around it. If you drive past Solo Street on the Alimosho Igondo Road, Lasso Road, the same thing applies, and some other areas. And why is it like this? There are different reasons for such. For Olushosun and Solo Street, these are products of our long practices of the linear waste system. You just pick a waste and you dump. And thankfully, we are shifting away from that methodically by the new system we are putting in place to decommission Olushosun, treat our waste, make waste a resource for wealth or for energy. That's on the one hand. 2, if people say there are challenges, you ask them, how are you handling your own environment personally? The Bible, the Quran will tell you, cleanliness is next to godliness. How clean are you in your own little space? For instance, I'll ask you, how will you take a waste from your home? You deliberately fail to engage a PSP operator. You want to free ride the system. You take your waste and you choose to dump them on the median. Oh, or in the drainage. The next day, you take a phone, you make a video. This place is having this offensive smell. Have you not asked yourself, what role did I play to make this be like this? These are some of the things. So I am the first that will admit it's a work in progress. We not allow people openly defecate like they used to. Some persons just choose to do it because they are badly behaved. We have 1,710 public toilets, government-built public toilets in the states. You ask yourself, why would they not want to use those ones? You have those that are even attached to gas and petrol stations. Why are they choosing not to use those ones? You have those that are attached to eateries and stuff. When you add them up, you have over 8,000 public toilets. But why are people deliberately, willfully choosing to be badly behaved? So now we're not just doing the advocacy, we're also using the big stick. It's a carrot and a stick approach. We are enforcing the law against open defecation. So if you are arrested, for instance, we'll take you before a court, and then the court will sentence you to community service. Go clean up that area for the next 2-3 weeks as a form of sanction. For those that also commit the offense of taking their waste and dumping them on roadsides, we take them to court, and we're making examples of most of them. So it will serve as deterrence to others, and it will also send a very strong message. And on our part, we're also ensuring that LOMA is intervening regularly on a daily basis to support the PSP operators that have challenges in cutting away some waste in some areas. So that's why I use the word, it's not El Dorado yet, it's a work in progress. The matter is before a court, so it's sub judice. And I'm a lawyer by practice, I should not be seen to be making a comment on what the court is doing or the court has done. So I would rather wait for the court to handle the matter and conclude it. My own work has ended at the point of taking him before the judiciary. So I can't speak to what is before the court. You see, we also need to make up our minds what we want to do as a people. When a law makes provisions and attaches sanctions to some bad behaviors, they didn't come about it overnight. It was a process. Lawmaking itself is a full process. There will be public hearings here and there. There will be room to allow people to make their contributions. And once it becomes a law, it becomes binding on every one of us. You can have the best of visions. You can have the best of slogan. But when it comes to you're not being able to enforce your laws, it makes a mockery of everything you've said. And that's why I tell everybody, law and order is the foundation for development. Look at countries that have developed. Name the US, name the UK, name Japan, name China, even name India as developing. You see one thread that is common to all of them, and that's law and order. Without law and order, we just be taking things like nothing will happen. And we can't do that. I'll give you an example. There used to be a mayor called Rudy Giuliani in New York. Before Rudy Giuliani, New York was a mess. Crime, environmental issues, everything was bad and wrong with New York. When he got elected, he made it very clear to everybody, we want to enforce law and order. And within 6 months, the whole of New York trajectory changed forever. Until date, they will tell you that Rudy Giuliani changed the course of New York for better. There used to also be a city called Detroit in Michigan. It used to be very prosperous until they dropped the ball and it became an all-commerce affair. And they have never recovered it today. So we cannot allow Lagos go south. We have to put our heads together, put all hands on deck, and ensure we enforce our laws. Lagos is very welcoming. Lagos is very receptive. People come in daily to stay. We have no problem with it. However, let Lagos State account for you by virtue of you registering with LASTRA so that they can plan schools, plan healthcare, plan mass housing, plan infrastructure for you. But you can't come into Lagos because you want to come and stay at all costs, and you choose to be staying under a bridge at Obalende, or you choose to be staying under a bridge at Dolphin, or you choose to be sleeping on the pedestrian bridge in Lagos. That will not be allowed. It may sound very harsh, but it's the reality of what we have to face and treat and handle. So Lagos has become a victim of its own prosperity. But we're going to throw our hands up in the air. No, we need to enforce our laws. And in enforcing the laws, we must also not care whose ox will be God. The last trial registration came up in the course of the past few years. And the agency was now empowered to register people that are in Lagos, so they can capture a data of the citizens here. I have the last trial registration detail, and it helps me to access a lot of facilities as Lagosian. So what you can also do is help us do the advocacy. I can't blame people like you, and I can't blame everybody. Some persons come and they'll say, oh, we never knew this used to exist, or this is existing. But the moment you know, what have you done about it? And I'm encouraging you and others, try. Google it. Go register. It costs you nothing. It's for free. And once you register, they have your house address. They have your details. Are you married? Are you single? How many people are dependent on you? These are the things they will now use to make plans that, okay, this person is staying somewhere in Ikeja. This is their population. How many schools do we have in that neighborhood? Oh, they need a major hospital here to take care of them. They need to have this road fixed to take care of them. It's for data. It's for planning. And we need to maybe do much more on the advocacy and enlightenment. But it's there already. It's there. It can't be enough, but we have to keep ramping up. Lagos is a mega city. A mega city is that have over 10 million. Lagos is like 3 mega cities in one. People can compare Lagos with New York. They can compare Lagos with London as mega cities. They can compare Lagos with Japan or Tokyo. Oh yes. However, look at the context of those cities and how their development evolved. Lagos is a work in progress. If you're making those comparisons, you also need to situate them in a context. You don't just throw figures. You don't just show, oh, this is the cost of this year. Why is this like this? There is so much more to it. The influx of people to Lagos on a daily basis is such that you have to factor it into the space called Lagos. Lagos does have 3,577 square kilometers of land. A third of it is water. A third of that is water. So which means Lagos is a very small state that houses 10% or more of the country's population. Lagos is below the sea level. So which maybe means when it rains heavily, the Atlantic level will be up, tidal level. The lagoons will be up. So storm water will not be able to discharge, which gives you flash flooding. But people that don't have a knowledge of it will go to town, do a video, Lagos don't flood. But within 2 hours, they won't go and do a second video and say, oh, the water had receded. There is a logic and a science to it. But how do you engage people that are not subject matter experts, but have access to data and are craving followership on social media? You just let them spew their gibberish. But for those that know, they know why it happened. So Lagos is some people's dream. And that's why we are very receptive. All we are saying is, when you come, live by the laws of the land. When you come, live by the rules of engagement. Don't throw your debts on the road. Don't sleep under a bridge. Do something that is legitimate and earn your living. That's what we're saying to them. I saw a couple of those videos. And to start with, they are not current videos. They are not current videos. The one at Ajah was due to a bad portion of road. I saw the one that had to do with some waste which had been carted by Loma. But the question you ask yourself is, how did those waste get to that point? Persons chose not to patronize PSP operators. Persons chose to go and drop those waste there. And then when they get arrested, like we did with the man last week, they'll be this you and cry about, oh, they have been so hard on them. Because people are not used to consequences for bad behavior. And you can't run a society that way. It becomes an Obasian city or state where life becomes nasty, brutish, and short. Thank you very much for not throwing that line. And like you said to yourself, this is not normal, it's not legal. People come up with different theories of what suits them, and they choose to practice it. What your neighbor said to you is outrightly unlawful and is outrightly illegal. What we have to do on our part is keep ramping up the advocacy and the enlightenment, so that people like your neighbor will not be convincing others badly to behave badly. So on our part, we keep doing the advocacy, we keep doing the enlightenment, and we keep engaging so that majority of our people can do the right thing. Now, we don't demolish. Point of correction, we don't. We remove, the law allows us to remove contraventions on the waterways or on wetlands or on the right of way of our channels, on our canals. So what we have to choose is weigh the balance and see for the overriding public interest, which is the operative word. The overriding public interest is the interest of the majority of our citizens with respect to that contravention. Yes, we want housing. We want more housing so we can crash rents and the cost of houses in the state. However, are we going to choose that over massive flooding that can take the lives of majority of our citizens? I'll tell you no. So I'll give an instance. Over a year ago, there is a channel called Channel System 44A at Ikota. 44A runs from around Lekki 2 and discharges into the Ikota River. Some developers chose to obliterate it. They blocked it in some areas. Some areas they narrowed it, that it became so small that even the tertiary drainage was bigger than it. And then it was causing major flooding, disturbing the whole of the neighborhood. So we had a choice to, we had a decision to make. And leadership, governance is not a tea party. You are meant to make some very tough, painful decisions. And then after a whole of meetings and consultation, and they have served them notices, most of them don't usually have approvals because nobody will approve such for them to start by the way. We have to start removing those ones on the alignment. And today, we are putting in place a massive resilient infrastructure to discharge the storm water into Ikota and stop the flooding with our own neighborhood. It was painful, but it was something that we had to do to save the state and save our people. The same thing happened around Oloyalaro systems. One, people built to encroach on the alignment. The importance of that system, one, you can't overemphasize. It was gazetted in 1974 by the former military governor of Lagos, General Mobolaji Johnson, so that they can preserve it. But some persons chose to encroach into it and build. So we had a tough decision to make. Because Julius Berger is connecting a bridge from Okwebi down through Maryland. And then they have to extend the waterways to allow for the storm water. Or else that whole neighborhood will be flooded. So we have to now do the right thing. But a lot of use and cry. The same thing happened around Alaba, Fraklas. There's a channel there. They built to encroach on it, causing flooding, affecting Lasso Junction and Iba. We have to do the right thing. Now, do we have a balance? Yes, there's a balance. The balance is we don't just take decisions whimsically. We weigh them vis-a-vis how can we mitigate. In that mitigation was the conversation we had with them, pardon me, around system 156 and 157, Orchid Road. They covered it up also. But we said, okay, a lot of houses have been built here, over 100 or 200. How can we redesign in a way that you'll still able to discharge the storm water into a Ikota River? And they came up with a design that was approved by government. And at their own cost, they had to put that infrastructure in place because they made money in the course of trying to obliterate system 157. So this is a balancing that goes on in government. Urban needs, housing needs, and then the overriding public interest to save our people from flooding. For developers, they usually know. But their priority most times had always been commercial. They prioritize the money they want to make over other considerations. And they also believe there are no consequences. Nobody can touch me. I'll make a call. I can be protected. But it goes much more than that. We have said to them, if you buy a property that is on the wrong place and the government is to remove, you have a recourse in law to sue the person that sold to you, to enforce that you sold to me a defective property or a defective title. That's a recourse. So it's not a very easy decision when we have to take those decisions. But at times, the leave us no other option but to do the right thing for overriding public interest. Support in what sense? If you buy from a developer and he sold you a bad product, what government can do is help you enforce against the developer to say, look, go and refund the money to the person you sold to because you sold a wrong or a defective titled property to the person. So that is what government can help you. But government cannot on its own now say, I'll give you compensation. We can't compensate bad behavior. When the developer that sold to you has no legal right to sell to you in the first place, but he chose to because he chose to blindside you, then you should take your recourse in law against the so-called developer. I laugh most times when I hear those things, and I don't usually want to respond to dog whistling. I call them dog whistling because they are baiting tribally. But let me clarify this. The law is no respecter of individuals. The law is no respecter of tribes. The law is no respecter of your creed or your religion. If flood comes, it doesn't know where you're from. It will take you the way it will take the other man. So for me, removing those contraventions were overtly necessary. And I'll give you a practical example. On System 44, we had a serving local government chairman of my party, APC in Lagos State. He had 6 houses. We had to remove them. Is that man from a different tribe? Or is he from a different party? But when people choose to be wickedly sentimental, all you have to just ignore them. Let the fact speak for itself. And the fact for me is res ipsa loquitur. If I've given you, go and check those that were affected. Oh, the one at Maryland, Oduyalaro, was built by Reverend Durojaye Mendevilla. So is that one also from a certain tribe? So when we choose to do the right thing, people will tag you. But if you notice, that dog listening had died off now. Why did it die? Because they knew it was not sticking the way they wanted it to stick. They call us bigots. But no problem. We do the right thing. Call us whatever name you want to call us. So that's why I choose to respond to them. Long-term plan is to do what is right, what is sustainable. Do policies that goes beyond your tenure. Put infrastructures in place and ramp up advocacy. Advocacy to tell people that your environment, you must own it. Your environment, you must love it. It cuts across even your own person. Your neighbor must do the same thing. That's how to build a sustainable environment, by taking ownership. Don't see it as, it's none of my business. When the flood comes, it's your business. When global warming hits, it's your business, it's my business. So we on our part must ramp up advocacy. We must do much more by enlightenment, but we must also attach consequences to bad behavior. Mostly, I believe we must fix our municipal solid waste challenges. That's from moving from the linear waste policy of pick and dump to a sustainable, resilient, and productive system where waste becomes a resource for other things like wealth or energy. And that's what we are moving towards. And once you achieve that, you minimize the quantum of waste that goes to your landfills. 2, we want to also create a system that will reduce flash flooding statewide. And that's by providing resilient drainage infrastructure and let people take ownership of them statewide, which we are doing. 3, create a carbon registry where we have a carbon credit for all these climate positive steps we are taking over time. 4, a Lagos where all and sundry that comes to stay or live or work in Lagos will be proud of a city that is clean, environmentally friendly, and that is resilient. That's legacy I want to leave behind. And 4, a Lagos where there will be public water from Lagos Water Corporation for all and sundry to enjoy. The first few weeks when we came on board and they chose to tag us as bigots, when they said we removing properties that had to do with people from the eastern part of the country. And it was tough because that was not who we are. That's not who I am. Most of my friends are from the eastern part of the country. I schooled in Benin. The bulk of my friends that I grew up with are from there. So, but for those who know us, they know we're not like that. And we just say to one another, let's do what is right. Let's keep doing what is right. Let's not allow them blackmail us to submission. And thankfully, we chose that option. And today we are better off for it. Well, I've spent about less than 6 years in public service. My first stint was as SA on education. And the greatest joy was to also establish those 2 new universities for Lagos State after 40 years of waiting. University of Education, specialized, and the University of Science and Tech to grant access to quality education for our citizens. In the environment, I would not want to say anything for now until the end of my assignment here. And then I'll leave that for posterity to determine. By joining hands with us to ensure people don't cast and dump their waste on the road or in the drainage, by ensuring that they enlighten their neighbors not to allow for open defecation, by ensuring that they don't allow people to sell on the streets, by ensuring that you don't allow people build on the stormwater paths, by ensuring also that you can take ownership of your environment. You wake up, do the right thing, and society will be better for it. I'm a man of very strong conviction. I believe if we fail to act, the consequence of our inaction, we may end up regretting for the rest of our lives. And if you fail to act and you realize you failed to act in the past, the best next time for you to act is now. And that's what we're doing now. Thank you very much.